concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? I'm Joshua Bardwell. You're going to learn something tonight. Did you miss me? Yeah, I know you missed me. How y'all doing tonight? It's Monday night. It's time to live stream like we always do, except when I'm in Orlando. Yeah, sorry I missed... actually, I didn't miss a Monday stream, did I? It's only the Sunday streams I missed. Sorry, Europeans. But I'm back. I'm back home. I'm so... Oh, my gosh. I have so much fun when I'm hanging out with a Rotor Riot, making episodes. But gosh, I miss being home and just having my head down, making videos, talking to you guys. I'm so glad to be back. Hi there, Triskelion. Magnum wants to fly at a police station. Not recommended unless you're a police officer. Harold Dahlhart. Hi, buddy. Welcome back, Echo BFPV. Something interesting happened in Knoxville today, folks. And I don't mean the tiny whoop race that Jesse Perkins threw at the Wild Wing Cafe Saturday night, which, by the way, was amazing. Jesse Perkins throws a hell of a party, and if I do say so myself, Knoxville FPV throws a hell of a party. It was a great race. There were like 40 people came out. I'll show you some of my race footage a little later in the week, maybe, or another time. I took second in the sportsman division. Not bad. I won my last race. Took second in this race. I, probably don't think of me as a racer. You probably shouldn't think of me as a racer. But, no, something interesting happened in Knoxville today. We had an earthquake today. We had like a 3-point-something earthquake. So how about that? Earthquake in Knoxville. What is the world coming to? Hello, Roscoe Sticks from Australia. Welcome to the stream, dude. Welcome to the stream. Jesse T. Whoop race was fun. Yes, it sure was fun. Although I'll tell you, we normally at Knoxville races will do like 2 rounds of practice, 3 rounds of qualifying, and then double elimination finals. And with 40 people, we did 2 rounds of practice, 1 round of qualifying, and single elimination finals, and we were still there till like 11:30 at night. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I did survive the earthquake. I was like 60 miles from the epicenter. I thought a plane flew overhead. That was what I thought. Anyway, what's up, Josh Bartell? Josh Bartell, is that your real name, or are you punning on my name? The Barber. That is a good question, the Barber. Would you go through the best case scenario of remote ID for the freestyle FPV community? Well, that's such a good question. I'm going to put the news of the day on hold, and I'm going to answer that question. And in case you're new here, and if you are new here, say hey in the chat if this is your first live stream. In case you're new here, here's what we do. I look at this screen. Here is you guys in the chat. We call this the pleb chat. The pleb it just means the common people. You know, the salt of the earth. These are the plebs in the pleb chat. You guys made that up, and I ran with it. I'll be answering your questions here, just like that last one. Hello, William Sheridan. Welcome. Down here are the super chats. I can't it's impossible for me to get to every single question. In fact, a lot of times I watch the replay of the live stream and I'm like, oh, that was a great question. How did I miss it? They go by so fast. So if you want to make sure I get to your question, hit the $. It's right down here next to the emoji. Not on my screen, but on yours. Hit the $, send a super chat, contribute to the channel, and pulls your question into a separate window to make sure that I get it. And, of course, over here on the left, hello, Idgo. Second stream, Idgo, welcome. Squishy7, you're on TV. No swearing, guys. No swearing. These beautiful people over here are my patrons over on patreon.com, and this is at my Discord server that they have access to, so I'll be checking out their questions as well. What is the best case scenario for remote ID for hobbyists? So let's be real about this. And I'm going to assume that all you guys here already know what remote ID is. If you don't, check out my interview with the folks from the FPV Freedom Coalition about what is remote ID and why is it terrible. I think the best case scenario for remote ID is, what would I be able to live with? I mean, we would all like to say that it just disappears and ceases to exist, but that's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. In 2016, Congress mandated that Caesar FPV says best case for remote ID, it doesn't pass. It's too late, Caesar FPV. The law mandating that the FAA implement remote ID already passed back in 2016. So remote ID is done. The only way to prevent remote ID from happening entirely would be to repeal that law. And that's not going to happen, right? So remote ID, the FAA has to implement some form of remote ID. Now, it could be toothless. It could be draconian. They have wide latitude to implement it, but they have to implement it. And by the way, can I say, some people want to make a political thing out of this, and I try and keep politics out of my streams and out of my content because we all want to just come enjoy FPV under the umbrella and not fight with each other. But I would like to say that some people have come to my streams and said, if you like the government taking your stuff, vote Democrat, keep voting Democrat. I would like to point out that this was passed at a time when there was a Democratic president, but Republicans controlled both houses of Congress, of the Senate and the House of Representatives. So you can't pin this on either party, whichever side you're on. Republicans passed it and the president signed it. So where does that leave us? What is the best case scenario? The best case scenario, I think, would be that it's what the Drone Advisory Committee recommended in the first place. The Drone Advisory Committee recommended that you be able to use a smartphone app on your phone to say, I'm flying at X location. Similar if you ever used AirMap to get Lance approval. That's what the Drone Advisory Committee recommended. And apparently they were just ignored. So that's the best case scenario. I don't know if we're going to get it, though. I would hope that we would get it. Because the barber says, well, how would I like it to work out? I'm having a hard time imagining a best case way of this going. The best case way of it going, I mean, think about if every time you went to fly, you pull out your smartphone, you say, I'm flying on this location, and away you go. That's great. No special requirement for hardware on your drone, right? You just do whatever you normally do, and that's it. What if you need to fly in an area where there isn't internet connectivity? I think it's fine if we have things like ADS-B transponders. I think it's fine if the things that are in remote ID now are options. If you want to fly beyond visual line of sight, I'm fine saying you need a transponder or something like that. I think that opens up what's possible. But I still I don't like the idea that that's the only way to fly at all. So, worst case, says Nathan, how much would it be costing us? I mean, Nathan, the worst case, you guys don't understand if you haven't been paying attention just how bad this is. Here's a demonstration of just how bad this is. Under the current rules, as they are proposed, it would be impossible for you to build a balsa wood airplane from balsa wood that you bought at a hardware store. Because only kits that are sold by FAA-approved manufacturers would be allowed. And you could buy a balsa wood kit that comes with a transponder and a flight controller and all that stuff, but you couldn't build your own. And by the same token, you couldn't build your own quadcopter from parts that you ordered off the internet, at least not legally. Well, you could build it, but you couldn't fly it. So it's pretty bad. Place it here. I don't think that's a safe way to think. We don't have to worry about this for close to 3 years. Things will change and we'll have a better picture then. No, place it here. Things will get worse. If this passes now, what makes you think it's going to get better 3 years from now when it finally goes into effect? We need to fight this right now. Right now. It will not get better from here in 3 years. If it passes now, then in 3 years it goes into full effect. Why, if it passes now, would it change in 3 years? It will not get better. This is the time to make a difference. Okay. Rusty Cantrell, will we be able to fly on our own properties? Rusty Cantrell, the FAA controls the entire national airspace. You do not have... The national airspace is above your property and the FAA controls it. You will not be able to fly on your own property unless you're compliant with remote ID, not legally. Okay, so that's the kind of things we do. You ask questions, I answer the questions. But before we get into more questions, I want to talk about more news of the day. And I want to start, since we're talking about remote ID, I want to start by throwing you guys this link, because what the hell, why is this article from DJI, Brendan Schulman? And by the way, if Brendan Schulman's name sounds familiar to you, he is the lawyer who represented Trappy when the FAA tried to find Trappy. Some of you guys haven't been in the hobby long enough to remember this. The FAA tried to find Trappy for a flight that he did. Brendan Schulman defended him, and I'm not sure that he won, but he didn't lose either. So Brendan Schulman, although Brendan Schulman is currently the vice president of public policy and legal liaison or something like that. I don't remember his exact title. Brendan Schulman currently works for DJI, so you might be prone to think that he's the bad guy, but he is not. Whatever he is a strong defender of the rights of pilots and hobbyists. And he wrote this amazing article that sums up almost everything that's wrong with remote ID. I wish I could just file this article as a comment instead of writing my own comment. You guys need to go read this. If you're not up to date on, number one, if you're not up to date on what's wrong with remote ID, read this. And number two, if you are up to date but want to just have all the bullet points put in front of you in a very clear and concise way, this article is a required reading. So strongly strongly recommend this article. I'll place the link one more time. For those of you who have DJI flight controllers, if you have a flight controller like the DJI Kakute HDV or any other flight controller that's designed for use with the DJI goggles, there's a bug that was found by this guy, 507RC. He is actually a patron of mine on my Discord. He found a bug, and basically, if you are not using your Betaflight OSD, you want to go into the CLI and put this command in. There are people who are having problems with long boot up times or inconsistent loop times, and this is especially relevant if you're doing D-Shot, bidirectional D-Shot. You want to go in and put this command in. Basically, even if you have, some people are saying you only need this if you don't have a max chip on your flight controller, but even if you do have a max chip, some people have reported this made a difference, and I thought this was so important to point out, I wanted to put it on the news of the day. Basically, if you have an analog quad, don't do this. This will make your OSD not work. But if you're using the DJI goggles, you don't need this, and this will help you get more consistent loop time, faster boot up, and so on. So there's that. You know, there's another thing that I don't have a link to. There was a firmware update for the FAA, for the FreeSky receivers that fixes a bug with the servo output. I don't have a link to that. Can somebody post a link to that in the chat? I guess you can't. Well, I guess I'll see it as tagged. But if you have FreeSky receivers, there's a mandatory firmware update that fixes a serious bug. I meant to mention that, but I didn't pull it up, and now I don't have the link. So there you go. What else? What else? Well, we could go to the page, but wait. Oh yeah, I got one. And I know the FreeSky update was fairly recent, or like it was like the 13th, I think, the 16th maybe. Oh yeah, there it is. I know that Albert Kim has already released a bunch of videos, so this came in my mail last week, and I was in Orlando with Rotor Riot. Oops. I feel really bad that I wasn't able to get... But I always say I'll get the content out when it's ready. I'm not going to rush it. And I hope you guys feel like it's awesome content. This is the Cadex Vista. This is the new Cadex DJI. Look at that. Look how small that is. And I just happened to have gotten in the mail this week this Beta FPV 95X. And I think... if I'm reading this right, this Beta FPV 95X is going to be perfect for the Vista. That may be why Beta FPV sent it to me. Look at that. Will that hold the Vista? I think it will. So I'm maybe going to slap that in there and fly it around. So we'll have to see about that. Yeah. Hopefully coming soon. Ion FPV, is that new Bitefrost camera actually HD? Or is it like the Racer HD where it didn't seem like it was really HD? I want to show you guys one more thing before we get back to the questions. This is the vlog from my friend Tac FPV. He was at the race. He's actually in the chat right now, in fact. And this is such a funny vlog. I really liked it. I think he's really... I've always thought he was funny and clever, but this one really struck me as particularly funny and clever. But can I share with you guys this?
Hey, Drew.
Yes,
so,
Tac.
I'm going to have to deny your invite to join Rotor Riot.
Okay. I'm sad.
I figured...
we really had our fingers crossed.
I figured it would be easier for me just to, like, instead of, like, having to join and quit.
And then quit, make a big deal out of it, and say, oh, we didn't see eye to eye, and blah, blah.
Yeah.
Just cut straight to the chase.
Yeah.
Well, Tac, you're officially famous.
I appreciate it.
Good job.
Thanks for the offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
See you next time.
Yep, go on, Michael.
You can't hear it. Drew says, go on Michael Rollins. Yep. Tac, I thought that was really funny. I wish Drew had said, Drew said, you're officially famous. I thought he was going to say, okay, you're officially fired, you know, because that's how to get famous, is to get on Rotor Riot and then quit. And then, whoop, to the moon. Your career just takes right off. So, Tac, I think he did the right thing getting ahead of it. Because when you get on Rotor Riot, a whole bunch of people are really happy for you, but then a whole bunch of people really don't like you anymore. And then when you know, I think you really handled it the best way you possibly could, to simply quit And then you get the best of both worlds. So congrats. All right. Here we go. Let's get into the chat. I got a question over in the Discord from PG McGee about the Radio Master T16S. That's a new radio coming out. This is super exciting. This radio, if you like the Jumper T16, basically this is the Jumper T16, but improved. Well, that's the promise. What happened here is that the guy who is the head of this company, Radio Master, used to work with Jumper. They were partners, and then for whatever reason they split ways, but they agreed that they would both keep the intellectual property and both be able to make the radio. So he's been working on this T16S for a while now, and it's like a Jumper T16 with a few improvements. For example, built-in USB charging. That's exciting. So you can charge internally from USB-C. Now that's exciting because I have a video that's going to go up on my channel tomorrow about installing internal charging mod into your Jumper T16. 21700, 5000 milliamp hour battery. You got to drill a hole for a DC plug, and it costs like $50 for this mod. You could build it yourself for cheaper, but if you buy the mod, it costs like $60. So the Radio Master T16 is got internal charging already. No mod, no special adapter, just charges from any USB-C. And the Radio Master is being listed for $130, whereas the Jumper is $160, although I expect the Jumper price will come down once the Radio Master hits the market. So this Radio Master is looking pretty exciting. We'll have to see how it does. They say they're sending me one. We'll see how it does, but on paper it looks pretty freaking good. Luca Barbosa has put a... No, sorry. Mauricio Codega has put a battery management system in the Jumper T16. Yeah, you can do it. I mean, you can do it. It's a little bit of a hassle, but you can do it. Squishy7 in the Discord wants to know if Newbie Drone has sent me my smooth motors yet. Yeah, they have sent me the smooth motors. I'm not sure. I'm going to be doing a build with them at the beginning of February, but I don't know if I'm going to be reviewing the motors before February. Like, this is my, in case you're new here, this is my editorial calendar. I just started doing this at the beginning of the year, and you can see that I am booked. Okay, I'm pretty much stacked up through February, the second week in February. So, but I got the Newbie Drone build scheduled for the 4th of February. So that's not that long. That's not that far out. We'll see how that goes. Try out those smooth motors. More high-def goggles in 2020. That's a tough one. I know that a lot of vendors would like to make them, but it's tough to make a great product. Decodester wants to know, can the Jumper T16 use Crossfire at 2 watts? Decodester, it can, but you have to use the Crossfire module itself requires an external battery for anything over 250 milliwatts. So I mean, it can, but you're going to need an external battery, just like on anything else. Let's see here. Who's going to enforce the remote ID? Asks Michael Lefebvre. Michael, it's going to be the FAA, but the FAA doesn't have enough officers to enforce it themselves. So they've got programs for integration with local law enforcement. The idea being that they're going to give law enforcement packets of information about what to do and how to interact with people flying drones. And then hopefully, local law enforcement will be able to recommend enforcement action when they find somebody doing something they shouldn't do. Nissan Huang, very good question. How many hours on the sim do you recommend before flying a self-built racing drone that hopefully will work? What I recommend is, here's the thing, Nissan. The better you get in the simulator, the easier your first time will go. But you're so excited and you want to fly, so you don't want to just wait. You know, you don't want to just spend months and months in the simulator. I have met people, mostly kids, who were like shocked. It was like their second pack, and they were shockingly good at flying. And I was like, how'd you get so good? And he was like, oh, I just practiced in the simulator. So it's a fact that the simulator will make you better. What I recommend is that you at least be able to take off, fly around a little bit, and land. Because if you can do that, then you'll probably be able to do that in real life. But if every time you take off, it's like, crash. Well, that's going to happen in real life, and it's kind of like, nah, you're probably just going to spend a lot of time crashing. For most people, I feel like 6 to 10 hours is typical. Some people get it much faster. Some people take a lot longer. We got a bunch of super chats coming in. Let me get those super chats out of the way here. Cochise FPV, thank you for $5. Thanks for all the great videos. You have greatly shortened my learning curve. Thank you so much. That means a lot. That's my goal every day when I wake up. Ken Heron, thanks for $10. One of your older videos really helped me figure out how to do tight FPV orbits. Been getting simulator practice in until winter goes away. Hey, Ken, when Drew was up here this week, Drew and Vanover came to Knoxville to fly the Tiny Whoop race. And they went home Sunday. But before they went home, there is a road here in Tennessee called the Tail of the Dragon, which is a really popular road for automobile enthusiasts, motorcycle enthusiasts, etc. Ken, we're going to try and schedule a time to come up and drive the Tail of the Dragon. I know you would love to do that with your RX-8. So let's figure out when that could be, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Eric Cordero, thanks for $10. Thank you. That's a very generous donation. Eric, thanks for all you do for the FPV community. Dirty Santos, thank you for $2. Do you have an opinion on the RunCam Hybrid or the Split 3? Dirty Santos, I have the RunCam Hybrid in my Acrobrat, and I am not thrilled with it. Mostly, I think that the exposure changes too much and too slowly. It's just kind of all over the place. I think there must be something better out there. I know that the RunCam Split 3 Nano on my Beta FPV HX115, I really liked it and thought it was pretty good. So I think between those two, I have to lean toward the Split 3, but of course the Hybrid does do 4K, and maybe you prefer that. MC's Creations, thank you for 5 Brazilian reais. I should see the frames Armin drone makes. Uses fiberglass and CA glue. I'm so skeptical that any material other than carbon fiber can do as good a job as carbon fiber. So I could be wrong about that, but I am skeptical. Thanks for $5, Magnum 58. Thanks for $5, FRD. FRD says a JB ready to fly drone would be great for newbies. I am working on a new budget build kit. I'm working on that with Lumineer. It's going to be a little while before it comes out, but I am going to update my budget build kit. It's not ready to fly, although knowing Lumineer, they could sell it ready to fly if they wanted to. Joe CJ Rod, thanks for $5. This might sound silly, but I currently use the EV800D. That's not silly at all. The EV800D is a really good beginner goggle. Would there be any downside to switching to a high-end goggle like the Orcas? Well, Joe, if you are used to the box goggle, box goggles have a really large field of view. And going to a slim Fat Shark style goggle like the Orca, sometimes people feel that the field of view is smaller and it takes them a while to get used to it. You might find that to be a downside. Most people seem to feel that gives a better experience overall, though. Scooter FPV, thank you for $5. What happened to the TBS Crossfire modules for sale for the X9D or others? I don't know. Are they not sold anymore? Are they out of stock? I don't know what. As far as I know, they still exist. What happened, Scooter? Let me know. Pickle Rick, thank you for $2. Armandrone, thanks for 5 reais. Well, MC's Creations and Armandrone both want me. They're both throwing super chats, so let's look them up. Armandrone quadcopter frame. Let's see what we got here. Armandrone. this it? Is it images? I don't want images. No, I don't want images. Where are they? No, I don't want images. I don't... Why does this not work? Armen drone. Like, I don't know what... This really bugs me when this happens. Armen drone. On YouTube. Armen drone FPV on YouTube. Facebook. Armadrone. No. Well, where's your website? Maybe you don't have a website. Is this it? You gotta help me out. You gotta throw me a link, guys. MC, throw me a link, dude. I'm afraid I don't really know what I'm supposed to be looking at. Your Innate in the Discord says, I had a thought about the DJI viewing party issue. The issue that your Innate's talking about is that you can't output an image from the goggles, like to a television screen. Just can't do it. In theory, could you wire the DJI Air unit and also wire an additional VTX for people to tune in analog style? Your Innate, the problem is that you would need a separate analog camera on the drone and a separate analog VTX, so you wouldn't really be seeing the same image. It's no good. Bad Milk FL in the pleb chat wants to know, help, VTX signal loss after a flip. Who can help? Bad Milk, most likely what that is you're running your camera off a 9-volt regulator, and the 9-volt regulator is dropping out after a flip because of the surge of voltage or the surge of current that the motors draw. So a simple way to check on that is to move the camera's power from 9-volt to VBAT or ESC+. And that will tell if that'll stop it from happening because the regulator is no longer a problem. Wiccan FPV points out that the Fat Shark Bite Frost can be put on a big screen TV. That is true. Fat Shark will give you HDMI out. DJI will not. DJI just announced that they're going to make it possible to export, like if you have like the giant Mavic controller with the big screen, that you could put the video on that. But that thing's like $700. I don't think that's a good solution. On the fence on the HDO2, says Ken Hicks. I have astigmatism. Can I focus it? Ken Hicks, it depends on how much astigmatism you have. I have just a little bit, like 1.25 astigmatism, whatever that means, and I'm fine. It just depends on how much astigmatism you have, whether it's going to matter. Jagger McNish wants to know about the Tango 2. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but somebody showed me the Tango 2. I've seen it. And I'm not going to reveal any information about it because I don't want to get the person who showed it to me in trouble. That wouldn't be cool. Like, they were very, very kind and generous and trusting to show it to me. But I will say this. I hate the Tango 1. I think the Tango 1 is a stupid radio. We won't go into all the reasons I think that. If you love it, good for you. If you agree, then you know what I'm talking about. And I was prepared to hate the Tango 2 because I expected the Tango 2 to be more of the same. And I will tell you this. If you are in the market for a radio in a form factor similar to the Tango 1 or the FreeSky X-Lite, a game controller style radio, you should wait for the Tango 2 and take a look at it. I'm saying if you buy an X-Lite today and then the Tango 2 comes out in 2 weeks, you might wish you hadn't bought it. I was really impressed with it. I'm impressed with enough with the Tango 2 that I intend to buy one and do a review of it. And I'm going to buy one because TBS, they don't like me and they won't send me one. But I was so impressed with it that I was like, I got to review this. So that's all. I mean, I feel like it's safe to say those things without ruining anything about the NDA. If I hated it and it sucked, I would just keep my mouth shut and not get anybody in trouble for showing it to me. Yeah, Simon Saucy says, Tango 2 coming out in 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks from then. And 2 weeks from then. People say to me, They've been saying it's coming out for 2 weeks for a while now. It still hasn't come out. So I hope it comes out soon. Let's see here. Jason Coley says, hey, JB, how do you think the new proposed restrictions are going to affect product development? Jason Coley, the current wording of the remote ID proposed rule would only allow drones, SUAS, to be manufactured by FAA-approved manufacturers. And that exact wording isn't in there, but that is a boiling down of the implications of it. Because the FAA needs to approve the methods that you use to ensure that your drone is compliant. What the FAA doesn't want is, Joe Blow comes along and says, I didn't make that. My dad always used that name. That's not intended to be anything like offensive. But Joe Blow comes along and says, I'm making drones and they're remote ID compliant. Wink, wink. Sure they are. But really, if you press this button for 3 times, it lies about the GPS coordinates and you can fly anywhere. Right? The FAA doesn't want that. So the current wording of the NPRM is that, let's say a manufacturer wants to sell remote ID compliant stuff, like, let's say TBS decides, let's say remote ID passes and TBS goes, we got to do something. And so they say, we're going to become, so they go to the FAA and they say, here is the drone that we're going to sell, and you can look at it and pick it apart and make sure that it's okay, that it's compliant. And the FAA goes, approved. Well, now TBS can sell you that drone. But you see what we've got here. There's all this regulatory overhead. If Catalyst Machine Works says we can't afford to do that, now Catalyst Machine Works can't sell drones anymore. So it will affect product development, because ultimately the FAA wants to have the final say over who can make drones and sell them and what those drones can look like. So that's a big deal. Jibba Jabba wants to know, has anybody plugged in a USB-C to HDMI cable into the headset and plugged that into a monitor, see if it works? It does not work, Jibba Jabba. We have tried multiple adapters. None of them work. It doesn't work. The DJI Goggle does not do HDMI out using... Now, I have heard that DJI internally has a box that takes the videos, that it doesn't plug into the goggles. It's a standalone box that receives the signal. I guess it must be in audience mode? I don't know about that. But a standalone box that outputs HDMI that they want to use for, like, DRL. But if DRL was going to use DJI, then they would use this box, and it has HDMI out. So it does exist, but they're not selling it. Which FreeSky radio transmitter should I get? Asks Mike Drone UFO. I feel like the Jumper T16 is the best value for money today. For FreeSky, if you want a game controller type, then the X-Lite is really good. It's a really good radio if you like that game controller form factor. For on the budget, the X9 Lite is very good, although it doesn't have a JR module bay. It has the micro size bay. License to Drive says DJI doesn't want you to have HDMI output because they want to make money from being hired to broadcast races and events. You say that, and it does make sense, but how much? Who is gonna hire them? Let's say that game plan comes through. Okay, DRL, DCL, maybe multi-GP IO are the only 3 events I can really think of that are big enough to want to hire DJI to do this. And, I mean, then what? So I don't really follow that logic. But maybe DJI probably knows something I don't know. John Solo, that is correct. It would be illegal to modify a compliant drone. Well, if you modify it, it would no longer be legal to fly it. You could modify it. You just couldn't fly it after the fact. Doc Murdoch is happy to see me drinking Fresca on the stream tonight. Youngins out there might not know about Fresca. I am drinking Fresca. I swear to God this is true. I'm drinking Fresca because We don't let my son drink sugary drinks, and we don't let my son drink caffeinated drinks. And that leaves very few drinks that he can actually drink. So one of them is Sprite Zero, and the other is Fresca. And a friend of ours who likes to drink Fresca, he was like, oh, this is pretty good. He really likes Fresca. So now, like, there's no soda in the house. I just steal some of his Frescas. And that's what's happening tonight. Fresca, sponsor my live stream. No LaCroix. No LaCroix. I don't drink LaCroix, Nation. I mean, I don't hate LaCroix, but... Popular Mechanics wants to know, can you elaborate on the scale of the size on companies that are in the FPV industry? For example, how many units of something like the HDO2 are made for an entire production run? Popular Mechanics, I want to preface this by saying that I am not privy to any internal data. I'm going to give you a number, and it's not just a made-up number that I pulled out of my butt. It's based on facts. But when I give you this number, don't act like it's, just the God's truth. Don't take it with a grain of salt. But ballpark number, I think that I would guess that, like, HDO2s move a few thousand a month worldwide. And I would guess that based on like the Betaflight install base, I would guess that there are single digit hundreds of thousands of people in the FPV hobby worldwide. So like I would feel very confident saying there are less than 1 million total active FPV enthusiasts. And I feel like it's probably even less than 500,000. So, when you think about how much influence we have, think about how many DJI drones are out there versus that, and it tells you why no one gives a damn that we even exist. Tyler Bird wants to know what I think about the drone sightings over Colorado. I have no idea, Tyler. No one has any idea. No one has any idea. No one knows. Jibba Jabba says the artificial sweetener is probably worse for him, my son, in the long term, or me, than the amount of sugar in normal drinks. Jibba Jabba, the amount of sugar in sodas is extreme. Like, I read that they recommend less than 24 grams of added sugar a day, and a single soda has more than that. And I guarantee you, my son's pounding like 8 sodas a day. I mean, I don't really care because it's 0 calorie and 0 sweetener, so it's like, all right, go for it. But I guarantee you, if he was drinking sugary soda, he'd be taking way, way more. So, Quadcopter still wants to know if we can expect more HD goggles in 2020. I did answer that question earlier in the stream, Quadcopter. I don't know of any specific plans to release more. Basically, for HD, it looks like DJI and Fat Shark Bite Frost are the ones, and everybody else is just. I mean, there are a few other companies out there, but they don't make a product that I feel very confident about. They're really struggling. Yeah, bad dachshunds. Joe Gray in the Discord says that the conspiracy theorists think that the drones are an FAA false flag operation. And Joe says the old guy needs to take off his tinfoil hat. Here's the thing. The more I learn about things that happened in the past, the more I start to feel like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. Because, like, some really crazy stuff happened in the past that nobody knew about because it was super secret. But now it's 60 years later and they're like, yeah, okay, we did that. So, like, the idea that these drones are an FAA false flag operation, I don't think that's likely to be true. But, like, I'm not 100% sure it's not true. You know what I mean? Some crazy stuff out there. Some crazy stuff out there. Ivy wants to know, hey Josh, I've always used Crossfire. Someone is selling me some RXSR receivers. Is there a way to flash them with access without using the servo plug? IV, yes, there is. The easiest way to flash is to use the servo plug. I really would recommend you do it that way. The RXSR has a plug. It's so easy to plug them in and flash them from your radio, assuming that you have like a QX7 or another radio with the servo plug on it. If you don't have the right wire harness, just buy one more RXSR. It's $20. It comes with a wire harness, and then just flash them all. It's really the easiest thing to do. But you can flash them using a PC-based tool, a USB flashing tool that you have to buy. And you can flash them using pass-through to your flight controller. I have a video about how to do that. But I would really recommend doing it with the plug on the bottom of your radio, if at all possible. Jackson Bamsey says the USB on my flight controller broke off. Is it junk now? In short, yes. You can still use it, but you can't configure it anymore. So, oops. And if you are really good at soldering, and if the pads didn't rip off, you might be able to resolder a new one on. But practically speaking, most people aren't going to want to or be able to do that. It's probably dead. I would probably just replace it. Experimental RC, nice to meet you at the Whoop Race as well. Very nice. I met a lot of people. It was really nice to meet you guys. Is this aspartame or is it Splenda? What's this sweetened with? Let's see here. Aspartame. Uh-oh. I'm going to grow a third arm right here. Mad Max FPV says, can you solder USB onto any TXRX pad? Mad Max, it doesn't work that way. And the reason is that the DFU function that is needed to flash the flight controller only works on certain pins. And if you were to enable the MSP protocol in the ports tab, then you could connect via any UART. But since you didn't, you got a bootstrap problem. Since you didn't enable MSP on UART 4, if you solder a USB plug to UART 4, nothing's going to happen. So, and you can't enable MSP without getting in. So, yeah. Nation wants to know, how often do races like that happen around the Atlanta and Knoxville range? First of all, Nation, the Atlanta and Knoxville range, I mean, Knoxville is 3 hours from Atlanta, so I'm not sure I would call it like a range. We'd have to get like Chattanooga and Asheville in there as well if we're going to do that. But in Knoxville, we have a pretty active community. There's two guys in Knoxville who are deserving of a shout out. They are Jeff Simpson and Joshua Moon, and I guess Ian. Crap. I can't remember your last name, Ian. I'm so sorry. The guy's, he comes over from, is it South Carolina? These guys run, Ian announces the races. He's basically our Joe Scully. Jeff runs live time and runs the timing. And he's so busy the whole race. And Joshua Moon is the promoter. He sort of gets the venues ready and puts the races together. These guys are amazing. And the Knoxville community owes them a huge debt of gratitude for just making these things happen. I will say that this race was inspired by Jesse Perkins, who is Mr. Tiny Whoop, and he said, hey, I want to do a race in Knoxville. And I was like, why? And he said, well, I said, why'd you do the race in Knoxville? I mean, we're honored and pleased, but why? And he was like, well, I have some friends who live in Knoxville, so I was going to be here anyway. It's like, okay. So a Jesse Perkins race it's never happened before, and who knows when it'll happen again. But I feel like even if without Mr. Perkins, we still put on a pretty good race, and I hope we lived up to his standards. Bad Dachshund says, I'm going to start setting up all my leftover UARTs with MSP enabled. One problem with that, Joe. You can only have 2 MSP ports in Betaflight, but it's not a bad idea. If you have an unused UART, turn MSP on, and then if you break the USB port, you will be able to solder up something else. You wouldn't solder up a USB plug. You would need to use an FTDI adapter. That's what you would use, or a CP210 adapter, but you could do it. You could also do it with a a Speedy B adapter. Although I don't think you could flash it via DFU. I still think you couldn't flash it. UAV Tech in the house. Hello, UAV Tech. Welcome to the stream. Always glad to have you here. One of the smartest guys in FPV, and it's coming from me. I feel like that's saying something. Let's see. Let's see here. Angel Sayas says, my quad dips slightly to the right even after calibration. What should I do? Angel, the first thing to do if your quad is drifting or leaning is check your channels in the receiver tab. Make sure that all the channels are centered at 1500. And if not, then use sub-trim in your transmitter to center the channels. If the channels aren't centered, then when you center the stick, the flight controller will still think you're putting in stick input, and the quad will drift. That's the first thing to check. Nick Schwartz. Zach Kegley, thank you for noticing Nick Schwartz's question. What is Nick Schwartz's question? Can you repeat it? Can you repeat it here in the doc? Zach Kegley, can you repeat his question in the Discord? Squishy points out that there are 7 multi-GP chapters in Atlanta. Oh, Nick Schwartz, you're in the Discord too. Whenever I go to Atlanta to fly, I just hook up with a couple people that I know. So I don't actually know about chapters. Here's Nick Schwartz's question. Thank you for repeating the question, Nick. I recently changed to TBS Crossfire around a week and a half ago. It was running perfectly. I decided to add the RSSI meter in the Betaflight OSD. I noticed that even when I was up close to the radio, I was getting terrible RSSI. I had no crashes. I don't even fly that much. The antennas are oriented in place correctly. There's not any physical damage. I've tried all the output powers up to 2 watts, different antennas. I'm also on the newest firmware. What's going on? Let's take a look at your footage, first of all. And what I want to see, let's see what you got going on here, Nick Schwartz. So it looks like, Nick, you are doing so this is the RSSI element. This is reading 63%. This is your LQ element. This is reading 300. And this is your DBM RSSI. If you're running Crossfire, just turn this one off. Ignore this one. This RSSI element is based on like the aux channel input, or just don't use that. If you have access to the LQ and the DBM, those are much more accurate. Now, I'm going to assume that you're close to yourself here. Your RSSI is negative 47. That is very, very good. One of the things that's confusing about RSSI, and I think it's the reason that they don't really like make a big deal out of showing you the RSSI Crossfire, because people who aren't in the RF field get confused about how RSSI works. The best RSSI, the greatest RSSI you might expect to see would be like 20 dBm, 10 dBm. 2 watts is 100 is 21. Okay, shoot. Oh, wow. I'm embarrassing myself. 1 milliwatt is 1 dBm. 10 milliwatts, 10. 20 milliwatts, 2 watts. Oh, my God. Wow, I've been away too long. It's a lot. Hang on. 1 milliwatt is 0 dBm. That's it. 1 milliwatt is 0 dBm. 10 milliwatts is 10 dBm. Multiply by 10. You get 20 dBm would be 100 milliwatts. 1,000 milliwatts would be 30 dBm. 33 dBm is 2 watts. Thank you. 33 dBm. So you can see that, and dBm drops off logarithmically. So even if you were to take the 2 antennas and touch them right together, you wouldn't see 33 dBm. So it's really, if you're even a little distance away from yourself, then like negative 50 dBm is no big deal. I would typically expect to see a failsafe around negative 70 dBm. so seeing negative 47 is no big deal. The other thing I see is that your LQ is 300, which is basically as good as it gets. So yeah, bad dachshunds is converting and confirming that I got the right answer. 33 dBm is correct. Phew. So even if your RSSI is a little low, if your LQ is good, you don't have anything to worry about. So I don't think Nick Schwartz. So Nick Schwartz says that's weird though. How come in other videos people get 99% the whole time? Nick, because they're not using the true dBm value. They're using this right here, which is the percent. It's 63%, but it's 63% of what? I don't know. That depends on how you set up your aux channel, but just ignore it. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. That what people have told me, and I don't know if this is true or not, they've told me that when you use the aux channel method, Crossfire is actually kind of synthesizing LQ and RSSI together. And as long as your LQ is good, it just reads 99% and it stays there. And that's why you see 99%. It's not true. They're actually at 99% all the way. Okay. Okay. Tommy Zegers, thanks for $2 in the super chat. I'm really good at my whoop. Is a 5-inch harder? Tommy, it's going to fly different, but if you're really good at a whoop, you'll pick up a 5-inch pretty fast. Expander, thank you for £5. I'm planning to solder this 2S charger into my T16 to enable USB charging. I'm very excited about this idea. Which 2S charger is this? Oh, that's exciting. The reason I'm excited about this possibility is that the built-in battery chargers, like the BMS or whatever, the battery management system, they usually don't balance. But this is a built-in balance charger, and it looks like it takes 5-volt input, so just solder it to the back of your USB. Oh, that's really slick. And it's $3. So I guess my only concern is, like, you're going to plug this in and you're going to leave it to run all night, charging your battery. It's a freaking $3 charger. Maybe not a good idea. But yeah, that's really clever. Expander. Sunny FPV, thanks for $5. Looks like my models are just going to be a showcase. I don't have the heart to sell them. I may only have to fly super light 3 inches or less in secret. Remember, Sunny FPV, as long as you have a sub 250 gram quad, can anyone really prove that you were flying your 5-inch? Well, they can if they walk up and you're flying it, but just saying. Hez, thank you for $2. Does remote ID violate Section 5 of the FTC Act? Well, I don't know what Section 5 of the FTC Act is, and I'm not a lawyer. But since you gave a super chat, let's look up what Section 5 of the FTC Act is. I don't know, man. Section 5 of the Act says... Section 5 provides that unfair or deceptive acts or practices and or affecting commerce are declared unlawful. I don't know, man. If you want to argue that if you want to argue, I'm going to guess that the FAA says no, and you'd need to hire an expensive lawyer to argue otherwise. That's what I would say. Joe C.J. Rod, thank you for $5. Why do you think iBus and FlySky is so underrepresented? It's faster. It can do most, if not all, that FreeSky S-Bus can do using the Turnigy Evolution. Well, Joe, the Turnigy Evolution, for example, it's a very simple radio, and everybody I know who bought one back when it first came out have ended up moving on. So I feel like if you look at the FlySky radios that are out there, they're okay radios, but they've never really had the following that OpenTX does. Name me a FlySky radio that runs OpenTX. Okay, the FSI-6, you can flash OpenTX to it, but I think the big reason FreeSky got so popular is because of their partnership with OpenTX, and they have a good receiver ecosystem. For a long time, all the FlySky receivers were pretty big. FlySky didn't do telemetry for a while, so FlySky has just been really behind FreeSky in delivering the features that people want. They're trying to catch up, but they've got a lot of ground to make up. Doom Rider FPV, thanks for $5. What causes a quad to skyrocket and spiral to the moon? Doom Rider, there's a couple things that can cause that. It's tricky to figure out which one is affecting you. If it is spinning, it's possible that your yaw channel isn't centered. It's possible that you've got a motor direction wrong. And if you get all the motor directions wrong, all 4 of them, instead of flipping over, the quad will kind of oscillate to the moon or maybe spin. I would check your motor directions first, Doom Rider. That's what I would do. Oh, we're caught up. Yeah, Bad Doxson says that's why she said this, not me. That's why the FlySky Paladin is DOA. The FlySky Paladin is a very interesting radio. The hardware looks really interesting, but it doesn't run OpenTX. Some people, the problem is that even if you don't love OpenTX, even if you hate OpenTX, that's what most of the tutorials are about. Like, FlySky Paladin. Review. Overview. Introduction. Review. Review. Where's the tutorial? Where's the tutorial, guys? Quick review. How about a setup guide? Wait, maybe this one. Okay, you got one from 2 months ago. And whereas if we search for OpenTX content or even FlySky content, there's going to be a ton of it. So by building your radio around OpenTX, you can piggyback on all the existing content that exists, and everybody who knows how to use OpenTX already knows how to use your radio, and that's huge. Sade says, my quad flight controller is a Maytech F405. When trying to hover, the quad is yawing randomly like the motors are stuck somehow and jittering. The first thing I suppose I would do, Sade, is if you think that like the sticks are moving, then try your transmitter in the simulator. Anytime you've got uncommanded movement of the quad, test in the simulator, and it'll tell you if it's a problem with your transmitter. Because, of course, a simulator is not going to have a bad ESC or a bad motor, right? Most likely guess, I think, is that you have excess vibration, excess gyro noise, electrical noise getting into the gyro. So, like, soft mount the flight controller if you didn't. If you've messed with the filters, put the filters back to default. Those are a couple things you can try. Earthling says, why does my Mobula 7 and trash can suck to an object and not let go? What do I do in Betaflight to fix this? Earthling, what's happening is that the quadcopter, like, it crashes against the wall and then the motors freak out trying to correct the attitude and they can't do it. They can't. You can try turning off air mode and it will reduce the potential for that to happen, but maybe not completely eliminate it. Yeah, try turning off air mode. Although you may not like the way the quad flies when you do that. RCDRPS says, UAV Tech thinks it's excess eye gain. You could try turning down eye gain. That I agree. I agree. Kim Barth says, well, maybe JB will answer sometime. Well. Okay, it's already off, Earthling, then reduce eye gain. Let's see here. Hammer 1056 says, I heard if you mess with crash recovery, it could help. I suppose that's possible, Hammer 1056, but here's the thing. Crash recovery is really for acro mode, and this happens even in angle mode. In angle mode, the quad should want to get back to the stick position, the angle that it's supposed to be at, even without crash recovery. Technobabbler wants to know, in the Rotor Riot video you did with NERC, you built a squirt and you recommended smoother motors versus notchy motors. I was wondering why and what the reason behind it was. The notchier motors have stronger magnets, and the stronger magnets will be more likely, they'll create more power, but they'll be more likely to create like mid-throttle oscillation or jello or vibration. Sorry about slapping the mic, guys. That's the short version. I'm not enough of an expert on ESCs to tell you more, but like if you think about it, a motor with a weaker magnet, like it'll be easier for the ESC to like commutate. I don't know. Or is that even true? I don't know. Kim Barth wants to know what I think about the Eachine EV300D. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to getting it. I have some on the way, and I'm looking forward to reviewing them. I think that a goggle with that resolution and that field of view at that price point is very, very good, but it has to not be a crappy goggle. Yeah. The Therapist FPV, thanks for $3 in the Super Chat. Fist bump to you. Adam Prescott, thanks for £10. Getting into the hobby, I'm currently looking for some goggles. I'm currently on the fence between second-hand HD3 or brand new Attitude V5. HD3. I'd take the second-hand HD3. Yeah. I take the second-hand HD3 all day long. The Attitude V5 has an OLED screen, which some people like get their socks knocked off by it. But personally, the Attitude V5's non-standard aspect ratio drives me crazy. Will TBS Crossfire work with the Spectrum DX6? Asks Skull901. No, it only works with the DX9 or higher. Wow. Sam Veep says, I have a problem with my Meteor 65. I decided to update it to Betaflight 4.1, and after doing so, motors 1 and 4 are no longer working, and BL Heli is not detecting the 1 and 4 ESC. Help. Did you like do some resource reassignments? Yeah, put it back to 357. How about that? Put it back to 357 and restore your config. Or just, did you flash the wrong target, for example? Are you sure you flashed the right target, Samvip? If you have your old config dump, check to make sure you flashed the right target. That's tough, man. UAV Tech says, hey, if your magnets are too strong, go with 49 or 96 kilohertz PWM frequency, and that'll weaken them up. You're not wrong, UAV Tech. Going to those higher frequencies definitely softens the motors up, but it also improves efficiency. One of the things on my schedule for this week, check it out. One of the things on my schedule for this week is a comparison of 24K versus 48K PWM. And some people are saying they're getting much longer flight times from like Tiny Whoops by going to 48K or 96K PWM. And in fact, I saw a chart that showed improved efficiency, because of course you could get longer flight times just by making less power. That doesn't mean anything. So it should be interesting. .661 FPV is trying to help with that Meteor 65. Guys, let's see here. I have the default config for the Meteor on Pastebin. Can I sign in? How do I sign in? Like that? Yeah. Here's a link to the Meteor 65 base config. This is Betaflight 357. But if that's helpful, boom, there it is. I'm going to start putting the default config for every quad I touch up on Pastebin, so I have reference configs, and hopefully that'll be helpful. Mark Emerson, thank you for £2. I got 4 new motors. One is notchier than the others. That's really weird, Mark. I mean, I would just go ahead and fly it and not worry about it, but I agree that that's really weird. The therapist... No, I already got that. I'm caught up. John Solo wants to know how the stack exchange is coming along. I made a video about this stack exchange about drones and model aircraft. Right now we're at 55%. And actually we're doing really good. In order to approve the stack exchange, you need all 3 of these things. And you see we have 100% of this one, 100% of this one, and 55% of this one. So in order for this to go through, we need another 45 committers who have 200 plus rep on any other site. And I should say, I mean, when I posted that video, some people argued that this was actually a really bad idea. Some people argued that this is not a good way to get questions answered. People with experience on Stack Exchange, for example. I don't know. I don't know about that. But at least a few people are really passionate about this. And if you're also passionate about it, then more power to you. So this is not Stack Overflow. It's Stack Exchange. Some people argued that Stack Overflow was a better choice. I actually didn't realize that Stack Exchange and Stack Overflow weren't the same thing. So I learned something. S.H. Harlan wants to know if Fat Shark will continue to produce HDO2s. I assume they will. Otherwise, what? They're going to go out of business? Monoman says, I would rather have seen Rotor Riot start some forums and give you your own section. Monoman, I don't want... Well, a long time ago, Rotor Riot started a forum. Like 2 years ago, there was a forum that was started. And like most forums, it petered out and didn't go anywhere, and nobody participated, and it died. I have a forum. It's my Discord, and I'm talking to you on it right now. I am hardly active at all on RC groups anymore. Like, really just not at all. I look stuff up, but I almost never post. I just only have so much bandwidth to answer questions, so... I do not think they should have started another forum. Zero Day Studio wants to know my prediction on how long till we have a whoop on digital video. That is a tough one, man. Because on the one hand, hey, anything's possible. But on the other hand, a tiny whoop is like 22, 23 grams all up. And the Cadex Vista is 19 grams. So it's like literally the whole weight of a tiny whoop all by itself. I think it's going to be challenging. Adam Prescott, the Discord is available to patrons. If you want to join the Discord, hey, look, we're almost an hour in. It's time for my plug. If you want to join the Discord, there's a link in the video description to my Patreon. That's one of the ways I support myself. If you feel like I've helped you out, if you're sitting around going, damn, I really watch a lot of Joshua's videos, how can I give a little bit back? One of the ways you can do that is by joining my Patreon. There's a link below all my videos, and you can sign up for as little as $2 a month or more if you feel like I've earned it. That's how I like to go. I don't have any special rewards for anybody at higher patron levels. Like, I don't want to like try to game you into giving me the maximum amount of money. That's just not my game. I just want to be like, here, here, I'm passing the plate. Put in as much as you feel like I earned. And so far, it's worked out pretty good. So you can sign up for as little as $2 a month or more. Whatever level you sign up. It's the only thing I give only to patrons is access to the Discord. But I still answer all your questions the rest of the time, everywhere else. Armin Drone wants to know, how is the RPM filter with continuous magnets? I think you're asking about the Newbie Drone smooth motors. The smooth motors. Where are they? Where's the smooth motors? Come on. No. Don't pop up. Don't pop anything up. Yeah. So what I want to show you guys is that although the Newbie Drone smooth motor has this continuous magnet, and by the way, if you didn't know, here's what they got. It is a ring magnet, but look at this magnetic imaging. It still has magnetic poles, just like a normal motor. Okay? It's just one single magnetic piece of metal. I think they 3D print them, although I'm not sure. I saw an episode of Smarter Every Day where he talked about, I think it was Smart, maybe it was Veritasium. So although it's a single piece, it still has magnetic poles. It has to, or it couldn't spin. So RPM filters work exactly the same. You just need to know. You just can't count the magnets. How many poles does it have? Well, we could count right here, and I think it's 14. I think it's 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. So you would just put in 14 poles, and this would work with RPM filtering just like anything else. If I want to get some goggles, but I own HDOs, should I give my friend the HDOs and buy HDO2s? Place It Here asks. Place It Here, I mean, it'd be very generous of you to do that. I personally think if you have HDOs, the HDO2 is about it's easily a $100 upgrade. So like, if you could sell somebody your HDOs for $400 and get HDO2s for $500, do it right now. I think the HDO2s are that much better. What I like about them, it's a little bit bigger screen. That's nice. I like the adjustable screen that you can adjust the saturation and everything. And I like, as someone who wears corrective lenses and has a really terrible prescription, I like the fact that you can adjust the diopters and stuff. So yeah, $100, no question. $150, I feel like it's on the edge. If you already own HDOs and you can sell them for $350, maybe. And by the time you get to like a $200 upgrade, I don't know. The HDOs are pretty good. HDO2s are better though. Anyway. Bad Doxson's in the Discord wants to know, were you able to confirm the bad latency issue for the new EV300Ds? You're talking about Kebab's video. I haven't got my EV300Ds yet. They're in the mail. So obviously I haven't been able to confirm it. I mean, here's the thing, Joe. Obviously, Eachine is not shipping hundreds and hundreds of goggles that all have 300 millisecond latency. Like, that's just, I mean, if they are, they're effed. But I feel like what happened is, I know that Eachine has generally good, but not like perfect quality control. And I'm guessing Kebab just has the reviewer's curse and got a bad one. I think that when my EV300Ds come, they'll be fine. But if you were a customer and you got Kebab's EV300Ds, you'd be pretty mad. So, yeah, he licensed to drive, says Eachine asked Kebab to take down that video, and he refused. Good for him. I mean, here's the thing. It's always a tough call as a reviewer. If I get a bad product, do I put the video up and just roast the product? Is that fair? It's a tough call, and I'm not saying Kebab made it right or made it wrong. Don't take it that way. But, like, if I get a bad product, sometimes I feel like the right thing to do is to say, look, here's what I got, and you need to know. Sometimes I feel like the right thing to do is to go back to the vendor and go, this is screwed up. Is there a problem here? It's tough because the vendor always goes, oh, yes, oh, that almost never happens. Let us send you another one. But, I mean, would they do that for a customer? So I feel like you always have to mention it. If you get a bad product and they make it right, you have to mention it. But I don't always feel like the right thing to do is to just roast them. X-Lite Pro with XJT module for D8 protocol. Any chance for a tutorial? I'm having issues getting it to work with my Tiny Hawk 2. That XJT module should bind in D8 mode. Are you sure that the Tiny Hawk 2 is not in D16 mode? Brian Holbrook, thank you for your $5 super chat. I don't think we're going to do a tutorial here on the live stream. I don't really feel like that kind of thing is the best use of 600 people's time. But if you want to message me, Brian Holbrook, message me on Facebook and I will help you out. William Clark wants to know if I would recommend the EV300D or the Fat Shark Attitude V5 in the $300 range. I think the EV300D is the goggle that will make more people happy than the Attitude V5. Higher resolution screen, larger screen. The LCOS screen is better than LCD, but I think maybe not as good as OLED. Maybe it is. But I think if you get a good goggle, you're going to be happy with it. But if you get a dud, you're going to be mad. And the thing you get with the Attitude V5 is 1,000% for sure that Fat Shark will have your back if anything is wrong with it. D Brown, thank you for $10. I helped D Brown having issues with his VTX tab, and I helped him fix it. So thank you for $10. William Beckett, thank you for $5. No question, just thank you. Oh no. Squishy7 in the Discord says a user on Kebab's Facebook just got theirs and has the same latency issue. That's bad. That's bad. This is the thing with Eachine. Eachine puts out like the EV800D, rock solid. EV100, WTF. EV200D, pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. So this EV300 comes out and it's like, which goggle am I going to get? Pavel Noroshkin wants to know what's the most common mode for FPV drone radios. 1 or 2. I think most people in the world fly mode 2. License to Drive points out that LCOS display quickly switches between red, green, blue by LEDs. Yeah, License to Drive. One effect of that is that when I try to record the Eachine EV200s with a GoPro, depending on the GoPro's shutter speed, sometimes I see rainbows. Usually people don't see it with their eyes, but sometimes the camera can pick it up. Donald Sniffy, thanks for €222. Good night, Donald. It's 3 a.m. here. Alep says, I have HDOs on hold for purchase for $325. Should I fork another $100 for HDO2s? Yes, no question. If you have the $100, the HDO is a good goggle. The HDO2 is better, and I personally feel no question it's $100 better. It might be more than that. It might be $150 better, but I'm a little on the fence. But I think it's easily $100 better than the HDO. Sharp Pizza says Betaflight isn't showing releases below 4.0. Sharp Pizza, the reason for that is that the target you have selected never had a release compiled for 357. So you've got a new flight controller, and it didn't exist when they compiled all the 357 releases. So when you try and flash that flight controller, there just isn't a build for 357 in the configurator. In theory, you could build it yourself, but realistically, most people aren't going to do that. So you can't use 357 on that flight controller. That's the answer. Chet W says, have you seen what Ren from Corridor Digital is doing with racing drones? I think he has some potential to push a lot of people your way and into the hobby. I would like to say, first of all, if you don't know who Corridor Digital is, they're a fantastic YouTube channel. Let's throw them up on the chat right here in case people can't tell what words sometimes people can't tell who I'm talking about or how to spell things. This is Corridor Digital. They do visual effects. And they have a fantastic YouTube channel about visual effects. One of my favorite things that they do is they react to... What do we got here? Wait. Where's their reacts? Is that on a separate channel? Wow. Where's their Is that a separate channel? No way. No, that's Corridor Crew. I see. Corridor Digital is their actual movies that they make. Corridor Crew is like their behind the scenes, I guess. Well, that's cool. I didn't even know that. This is one of my favorite things they do. VFX artists react. It's just really, really fun, this content they make. They actually did a video with Rotor Riot a long time ago where they turned quadcopters into like Star Wars drones. So that was really fun. And one of the Quarter Digital guys put out a video about 360 VR drone. Yeah, they're pretty cool and very worth seeing. Mr. T16 wants to know, Mr. Tech Jesse wants to know, are you using your Jumper T16 daily? Yep. I have completely transitioned over to using the Jumper T16. I'm not using anything else. Brian Rodriguez says, hey, Bardwell, I have my drone connected to Betaflight. When I arm and throttle up the motors don't stop. Brian, the issue is when your props are off and you raise the throttle, the quadcopter can get itself into a feedback loop. And then when you lower the throttle, the motors stay high. That won't happen when the props are on, most likely. But it's not abnormal, and it's not a problem. Flacky says, to get my stack the way I want with what I have, it seems like I'm over-tightening the soft mount grommets. Any advice on soft mounting or video you have about setting up the stack? Here's what I'd recommend, Flacky. The problem you're running into is that your screws are too short. So then you put the grommet down on top, and then you got to put the screw on, and it crushes the grommet. What you need to do is use female-female standoffs. So the screw goes up into the bottom of the standoff goes on top, and then another screw goes down in the top. And you can then just adjust the length of that screw to have the grommet as tight as you want. That's what I would say. Neil Kamara has an interesting question. I've never tried going to gaps, like in between tree trunks, even gaps like 5 feet. It's too late before I realize the tree's in front of me. Is it because of 30-degree field of view for my Dom V3 goggles? No, I don't know about that, Neil. I think it's just a matter of practice, man. I guarantee you there's pilots hitting tiny gaps with that exact same setup. It is true, though, that a wider angle lens, like a 1.8 millimeter lens, will make gaps look smaller in screen. Because if you think about it, if you had a telephoto lens, all you would see was the gap and it would fill the whole screen. And the wider angle the lens you have, the smaller the gap's going to be in the center of the screen. So it is true that wide angle lenses make it harder to hit gaps, but it's not that big of a difference, and with some experience as a pilot, you will be able to get it. If you can't even hit like a 5-foot tree gap, that's just all about your piloting, and you just need more stick time. That's the answer. What do I think of brass standoffs? I use nylon standoffs pretty much exclusively. AZ Drone Dude wants to know if I have a plan to review the Rush Tank stack. So Rush Tank is going to put out a flight controller. That's exciting. Rush Tank has really good video transmitters. If they're making a flight controller, I think it's probably going to be great hardware at a great value price. I don't have a specific plan to review it, but maybe I'll use it in something. Put crosshairs on your OSD, says William Clark. William Clark, I don't buy that. I don't think, I mean, if you're a pilot who flies with crosshairs and finds them helpful, I acknowledge that that exists. But personally, here's the problem. Let's get this little guy. This is a new 2.5-inch quad from Avant Quads. Here, let's give them a shout out real quick before I move on. Alex Vanover was flying this in Orlando, and he said it was amazing. So I was like, oh, I gotta review this. I mean, if Avant sent it to me, and I was like, yeah, I'll get to it, don't worry. But Alex was like, this thing is amazing. This is their little 2.5-inch Vanta 2.5-inch. Can we get a bigger picture? So I guess this is a toothpick, right? I guess this is a toothpick. But let's go back to the question about crosshair. Here, I'll throw a link. Throw a link in the chat. Boom. Check that out. Here's the issue. The crosshair is always going to point at the center of the screen. Now, the center of the screen is not always where your quad is moving. So let's say you've got that gap lined up perfectly, and then you notice that you're a little bit, let's say you're a little bit low. So you're low of the gap, so you pitch back to slow down. Well, it's possible. Your quad is still descending, right, for a second. So when you pitch back, your quad is not going the direction that it's pointing. What if you like just kind of yaw to the side a little bit and slide through the gap? That happens, right? You're coming straight in, but you're off to the side, so you kind of yaw and pitch and roll and whoop. Like, I've gone through gaps and I'm literally like cocked sideways to the gap. The crosshair doesn't help you. I mean, it can mislead you. I like to just eyeball which direction the quad is going. Pineapple Man is waiting for the rapid fire upgrade for TBS Fusion. Me too. Where's the rapid fire upgrade for TBS Fusion? The new backboard that they're going to put out. Anybody know? It's now the 20th. I heard they were supposed to be putting it out after New Year's. Somebody told me that. And what I heard from LiveU FPV is that the current TBS Fusion uses a lower sensitivity receiver chip. And the new board, the new radio board for the TBS Fusion, uses the same chip that the Rapid Fire uses, and so should have closer performance. Oh, wow. It's Blunty says TBS support says it's mid-2020 after the Tango 2. Okay, so it's not imminent. That's a shame. From the people who have gotten pre-release ones, it seems like it has performance a lot closer to a Rapid Fire. Yeah. Elvendor 47, thank you for $2 in the super chat. Elvendor wants to know, should I buy a used HDO for $350 or hold out for the Orca? That's a tough question, Elvendor, because the Orca is going to run you $650, and then you have to buy a module, and so the Orca is all in like an $800 proposition. $650 for the Orca, $150 for the Rapid Fire, which I assume you're getting, because if you're buying an Orca, why would you not buy the best module possible? So you're saying, should I buy a $300 goggle or should I buy an $800 goggle? And it's like, that's not a question. Like, imagine this. Let's say you walk into a car dealership and you're like, now, this one is, how much? $16,000. Okay. How much is that one over there? Oh, $80,000. Well, see, nobody's on the fence. Nobody's on the fence about the difference between like a $16,000 car and an $80,000 car. If you're here to buy an $80,000 car, you're not looking at the $16,000 car. And if you're here to buy the $16,000 car, you ain't going to buy the $80,000 car. So if you're looking at HDOs for $350, you got to ask yourself, am I the person who's going to drop $800 on an Orca setup? Okay, it's not as big of a difference, but those just aren't really comparable things. The other thing is that by the time, and I'm so sorry, Fat Shark and Orca, you don't want me to say this, but it's true, and I'm going to say it. By the time you're thinking about spending $800 buying an Orca and a Rapid Fire, you have to be thinking about whether you should be buying DJI goggles instead. You have to at least think about it. Okay. Iama wants to know about a review coming up for the RunCam 5 Orange. The new RunCam 5 with the image stabilization, that one? The new RunCam 5 that's going to be coming out that has the EIS image stabilization. This one? This one here? Nah, I'm not going to review that. No, I'm going to review that. I just like throwing things. That's not Fresca. That's Glenfiddich. For those of you who were arguing with me when I said I didn't like Scotch, I got some Glenfiddich tonight just for you. Woo! Cleared my sinuses. Does it have SuperView, asks MC's Creations. Probably not, because GoPro has patented SuperView. You're not going to find cameras that do SuperView internally, because GoPro will sue the living shit out of you. Yeah, Boyd, I haven't actually even looked at it. But in the email I got from RunCam telling me about it, they say it has image stabilization. So that's exciting. Woo! Woo! Glenfiddich clears your sinuses. Earthling wants to know when I'm seriously going to fly 3D. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. That's tough. I mean, there are so many... I feel like I struggle to fly regular quads good. So I'm not sure I want to, like, branch out into 3D. 3D is so cool when I watch Zoe do it. But, like, I don't know. Probably never, Earthling. Sorry, that's the answer. So What Man in the Discord. Thank you for being a patron, So What Man. If you guys want to join my Discord server, hang out with other patrons, and get slightly higher priority access to my answers, but not really. You can become a patron. Link in the video description. Blah, blah. $2 a month or more if you feel like I earned it. I've been flying my Tiny Hawk for a while now, and I'm looking for some ways to make it fly better, because it flies kind of weird now. So What Man? Immediately, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Immediately put the Project Mockingbird tune on the Tiny Hawk. It is 1 billion times better. When I first flew the Tiny Hawk, I just didn't like it. It was okay, but it was like, eh. And then I put the Mockingbird tune on it, and I was like, oh, it's really good. In fact, if you fly any micros and they have a Mockingbird tune for it, look at that guy. So young, so fresh-faced. Back in 2019, a year ago. If you have any quads that have a Project Mockingbird tune, try it out. But here are the setup instructions for Project Mockingbird. I'm going to paste this in the Discord so you can check it out. Do this right now. In my opinion, one of the single biggest things they do is they raise the level strength, which really sharpens up the stick feel and makes it corner better. Chet W, thank you. Chet says I still look fresh. Don't get down on myself. Not as fresh as I used to look, but still fresh. Hey, Bob Men. Bob Men says, hi from Beijing, trying to avoid the flu. Yeah, there's some weird flu going on, like a bird flu or swine flu or something going on in China right now. So, oops. Good thing everybody's traveling in China right now. Everybody's going to go home to their hometown for the holidays and spread the bird flu. No, I'm just kidding. Caddx Vista or the DJI Air unit on a 5-inch, asks Jerry. Jerry, I mean, if you can spare the weight, the Air unit is going to give you better performance, although they've done as much as you can reasonably expect to get the performance of the Vista to match that of the Air unit. It has the same output power. Somebody told me it does the 1200 milliwatt mod, but it only has one antenna, not two, so it doesn't have as good performance in MIMO environments. Doesn't have a DVR. Built-in DVR is a big deal. It really helps you... get you're going to need, without a DVR, you're going to be stuck with the Goggle DVR. That's not bad, but it's not as good. So, I mean, if you have the weight, then Air unit, obviously. But, I mean, it's 19 grams versus, like, what's the weight of the Air unit? It's pretty high. It's like 50 grams. So, it's a big saving in weight. Ace McLeod, I don't have any test videos yet. I just got back from Orlando where I was filming Rotoride episodes, and I've only just got the chance to sit down and look at it. Does the Project Mockingbird tune work on the Tiny Hawk 2? Jared Karsten, I would feel 100% confident telling you it will work on 1S. I know that the Tiny Hawk 2, they had to do some special things with a PID profile to get it to work on 2S. I don't know if Mockingbird has taken that into account. Yeah, y'all want to see here? Somebody posted this in the Discord. Who's that guy? Oh, this is a really low resolution photo. Yeah, that's how fresh I used to look. Well, once upon a time. That was probably 2016. It wasn't that long ago. Not 2006, I'm sorry. That was probably 2006. Yeah. There you go. Let the chat catch up with that. Am I going to I.O.? Simon Saucy wants to know. I have no plans to go to I.O., but they dragged me along to I.O. last time, and I had a great time, so maybe I would do that again. I was not a punk MC's Creations. I just went to Burning Man. Would the DJI goggles work well with the Arum Polar since it's a MIMO antenna? Popular Mechanics, the DJI system is designed to work with left-hand with all the same polarization. DJI shipped it with left-hand antennas. I assume that's how it's optimized to work. In order to be able to use a mixed polarity antenna like the Arum Polar, which is what I believe it is based on the testing that Alex Grieve and I did, I think that if I remember right, the conclusion is that it's mixed polarity, left and right. The system has to be designed to work with it. So you probably can't just slap an Arum Polar onto the DJI goggles and expect it to like suddenly improve. Want to Get Fly says IO is FPV's Burning Man. No, Want to Get Fly. Because here's the difference between IO and Burning Man. And I say this as someone who went to Burning Man. I went to Burning Man probably, I think it was 3 times I went to Burning Man. But I also was one of the lead organizers and founders of the Georgia Regional Burn for like 5 years. So I have a strong background in burning. And I can tell you, at Burning Man, when some people get drunk, drive a golf cart into your art project and ruin it, that is par for the course. And like, yes, people are going to be annoyed, but no one is going to lose their damn mind and act like you killed their baby. No one has ever said, you ruined Burning Man because you got so rowdy with those golf carts last night. Do you know how much work we had to do? Okay, well, I'm not saying people don't whine. I'm just saying that, like when at I.O. last year, in case you don't get what I'm referencing, at I.O. last year, someone, no one knows who it is, everyone points the finger. Someone got a little rowdy and a little drunk and raced golf carts around the course, and I assume accidentally smashed into one of the gates and knocked it down. And then the next day, there was this gigantic uproar about what kind of a person would have done this? Who could hate racing so much as to do this? And I'm like, no one. They were drunk. They were driving a golf cart around in the middle of the night, drunk, racing, doing wheelies, and they wrecked it. That sounds like a really successful party to me. I was like, why are you upset? Come to I.O. You're going to have the time of your life. But if you do, we're going to be really upset about it. No. I was like, as an organizer, I would understand that you're annoyed that the race got delayed by a half hour while you fix the gate or whatever. As one of the guys setting up the things, I would be like, I can't believe someone did this. But at the same time, it's like, that's a win. That story will live. You will sell so many tickets the next year because of the stories of what a great party it was. Stop being annoyed. Do not discourage this behavior. But they were like, who did this? Who did this? We will find out who did this, and they will be banned from FPV forever. Like, come on, guys. Come on, really. No one did this. Anyway. I was asleep and I was sick that week. I had a cough. As soon as we were done doing whatever we were doing, I would go back and sleep. Yeah, license to drive, exactly. You can't have a party with a bunch of fun people and not expect shenanigans. There were some shenanigans. Here's what I think, though. Whoever did it should have fessed up and been the first person out there to say, listen, I screwed up. And they should have been the first person out there to help fix the gates. That's the right thing to do. Right? You know, and maybe a little bit of a public flogging in good-natured. But, like, you can't have, you know, you got a party tent, you got people drinking, they're going to get a little rowdy. That's a successful party. Anyway. It was not that, it wasn't that bad. Only the reaction to it was that bad. There was this massive overreaction, as if whoever did it must have, who could hate FPV this much that they intentionally ruined I.O.? No one. They were just drunk and on a golf cart. Do you not know what happens when you have drunk people and golf carts in the same room? It is never, I wanted to say it's never good, but it's always good, but it's never good if you're the organizer of the event. Anyway. Okay. T. Simmons, thank you for 10 Australian dollars. I've just sent you a message on Facebook. If you get the time to reply, I will do my best. I try to reply to all of my messages, almost all. Should I buy a cheap set of goggles or wait to see if other digital goggles are coming out? T. Simmons, I think right now, if you want a fully fledged digital system, I think you got to look at DJI. Bitefrost is there, but I feel like it's not quite fully. It's like 3/4 fledged. And Orca is kind of dropping little hints that maybe something's coming, but nothing concrete. So if you're going to buy a digital system now, I think DJI is just the best choice for most people. Okay. Welcome, Twitchy Chippy. Just joined the Patreon club. Thank you. And linked up your Patreon and Discord accounts successfully without any problem. Welcome, Twitchy Chippy. Right. I mean, let's say that you throw a party and it's like the most epic party in the world. And when you wake up the next morning, like there's just stuff all over your house. Somebody threw up on the carpet. It's like you're cleaning the vomit out of the carpet and you're like, but boy, that was a great party, wasn't it? And that's the attitude. Like, you don't throw a great party if you don't expect something to get broke. That's all I say. And don't assume that because someone partied and broke something that they must, like, have done it intentionally to sabotage your event. Like, Occam's razor here, guys. What is the more likely thing? That an evil person intentionally sabotaged your event? Or that a drunk person on a golf cart wrecked? Occam's razor here, guys. Okay. I'll talk about that for the whole rest of the live stream. I promise you. But let's not do that. Alexi C, thanks for $5. Hot JB parties. I used to party. Not anymore. Now I just sleep. Which KV 0803 motor should I get for my toothpick? 16,000 or 19,000? Mad Fisher wants to know. Isn't Kebab moving up to like 1203s or something? What's he using now? He's not even using 0803s. If you want to use 0803s, I mean, I would go 19,000. But like, I know 19,000 is good for... That's the thing. 19,000 is good for like the little whoop props. I don't know if it's good for like 2-inch props though. Maybe 16,000. What does the chat say? Higher KV, more power, but shorter battery life. That's the thing. Drunk whoop event. Yeah, there you go. Four-blade props on the Mobula 6 license to drive. Interesting. I've only tried 3 blades myself. Hanlon's razor. Monoman, you're right. Occam's razor is a more common one, but Hanlon's razor is also very good. Hanlon's razor says never attribute to malice which can be adequately explained by stupidity. Yeah, pretty much. I'm down. Lead Sled 01 says 0803 is too small for a toothpick. I think most people running toothpicks, the original toothpicks were built off of Tiny Whoops and used 08 motors, but today I think most people building toothpicks are not using 0803 motors and would argue that 0803 is too small for 2-inch props. You can obviously do it, but most people wouldn't recommend it. 12,000 kV for 2S. Oh yeah, I didn't even ask if you're doing 1S or 2S. What are the best 5-inch props? Wind of Fire. Depends on your motors, man. Depends on your motors and your build. There is no best 5-inch prop. There is no best prop. So Whatman says, my Tiny Hawk isn't connecting to Betaflight. It usually does. Check your USB cable. Try a different USB cable. Let's see here. I wanted to do a, these guys are suggesting a Tiny Whoop liquor race. I wanted to do a hot wing race at, this whoop race was held at a Wild Wing Cafe. And I wanted to do, we didn't have time to do this, unfortunately, but I wanted to do a hot wing race. And my idea was that it would be a relay style race, like 4 pilots on a team. And before the race begins, each pilot eats one hot wing. And then before each lap, each pilot must eat a hot wing. And we were going to get the hottest hot wings they make to really make you so your nose will be running, your eyes will be running, and you got to finish the laps. I think that would be really fun. And then, right, MBFPV, you eat a wing each lap. I thought it would be better to do it relay style because first of all, you would have to have a lot of heats. I wanted to get as many pilots in a heat as possible. But if it was one pilot and he had to eat like 4 nuclear wings, he would die. Yeah. Let's see here. Metal Dirtskin FPV, thank you for $5 in the super chat. If you were upgrading from box goggles, would you go with DJI plus analog plus rapid fire? Here's the thing, Metal Dirtskin. Let's say that your budget is $800. Okay, you're looking at HDO2 plus rapid fire, Orca plus rapid fire, or DJI plus rapid fire. If you never intend to do HD at all, or if later you think you might buy a Bite Frost, then either Orca or HDO2 are a great choice. Because the screen on the Orca and the HDO2 looks better than the screen on the DJIs. It's an OLED screen. It's brighter. It has darker darks. It has more saturated colors. It's a beautiful, beautiful screen. But it's not high def. If you intend to have any high definition quads, then obviously the DJI is the only one that does it. Unless you're going to also go out and buy a Bite Frost or whatever comes in the future. But that's DJI is fully fledged. So the DJI, the LCD screen doesn't look as good as the OLED screen, but you can get high def on it, and the analog is good enough. I think that if you want high definition, the DJI goggles plus rapid fire on the AV input, if you're at the $800 price point, I think that's the place that most people are going to be happy. Because you kind of get it all. You get the best analog receiver. You get a pretty good screen. Not the best screen. I wish DJI had an OLED screen goggle. That would be a killer. You get a pretty good screen for analog, and you get high definition on the quads that support it. That's a pretty big deal. Joe C.J. Rod wants to know if I've experienced the eyelash problem that Bachgrinder had on the HDO2. I have not, but other people have told me about it, and I feel like it's a real thing. It's not just Bachgrinder. One reason why I didn't experience it is that the very first thing I did was I put the Newbie Drone goggle foam on my HDO2s. I just do that. And the Newbie Drone foam is a little thicker than the factory foam. It may be that I would have had the lashes problem, but I didn't even hesitate to put that Newbie Drone foam on. So the eyelashes problem is real. It depends on how you focus the lenses. I have the lenses focused as close as they can go because of my eyes, my bad eyes. But if you have that problem, I feel confident you could put the Newbie Drone foam on and solve it. Most people could. What do I think about the new Cadex DJI unit? Tim Snows. I think it's right here, and I'm going to review it this week. Prop Breaker FPV, are we going to do a quad camp this year? No specific plans to do a quad camp. It was very difficult to make those not lose money. As much as we loved doing them, and we really did, it was very difficult to not lose money on them, and we did not consistently succeed at that. So if there is a way that we can do it where we at least break even, but hopefully make a little bit of money, because, you have to do that in life, then we would love to keep doing them. In the meantime, keep an eye on the Rotor Riot Facebook group for quads and coffee events in Orlando. Yeah. Siadi FPV is here in the chat. Siadi says, I have crazy long eyelashes, and with the Newbie Drone foam, Joshua's goggles were fine for me. Yep. You streaming tonight, Siadi? What am I going to be building my Vista into this week? Urinate. I mentioned it earlier in the stream, so it's not really spoiling it. I got this Beta FPV 95X in the mail today. earlier this week. I think Beta sent it specifically for the Vista, and I believe that it is sized correctly for the Vista and able to carry it. So that is probably what I'm going to be putting it in. Can you put return to home in a drone race? No. Sandy UMR, nobody who's racing wants your drone fail-safing and flying back to the starting position. Nobody should do that. Damn right, says Ciati. 5 weekly giveaways, Tiny What Madness, Q&A. So we are coming up. It's 9:52 right now. We are coming up on the end of my stream, but Ciati is going to start streaming at 10 p.m. So if you would like to stay up even later and watch him do some madness, he's doing tons of... Ciati, you're killing it, dude. You're doing giveaways every week. I only do giveaways every month. What's wrong with me? Is the SpeedyBee app okay to use with Betaflight 4.1? I'm pretty sure, Jay Larson, that it is. I don't use it on a daily basis, so I can't be 100% sure. When a new version of Betaflight first comes out, sometimes the SpeedyBee app is not updated and can mess up your config, but I would think Betaflight 4.1's been around long enough that that's not an issue. Parts for Ben Toys says, I personally have never used a better camera than the Runcam Eagle. Have you? I love the Runcam Eagle. Yeah. I'm sorry to say the Runcam Eagle, if you love the Runcam Eagle, buy it today. I don't know how much more stock there is. It could be months of stock, or it could be, I don't know. But the Runcam Eagle has a sensor in it that is only used in the Runcam Eagle. It's not used in any other camera. And Runcam tells me that the minimum order quantity is so large that they don't think that the Runcam Eagle is going to sell well enough. It's like it's a pretty old camera by terms of our hobby. They think that if they were to order another run of sensors, and we're talking tens of thousands of sensors they have to buy, that they wouldn't be able to sell all the cameras fast enough. So it seems like the Runcam Eagle is not going to get made anymore. There still are lots of them in stock, but once they go out of stock, they may not come back. So that's unfortunate. I love it. The only thing wrong with the Micro Eagle is the white flash problem. I confess that I wish that were different. But it's my favorite camera. Double A, thank you for $10 in the super chat. Shotgun's latest video with me in it. That was me taking a minute to sit down from cleaning up from the party at I.O. that morning. It was worth it. Thank you, Double A. You're a true trooper, and thank you for the $10 donation. I can only tell you the attitude of the people I've worked with. These guys put on burns. They work so damn hard, and I know the I.O. guys work just as hard. They're up all night the attitude at Burns is, we are going to make a safe space for people to get crazy and still come out the other side safe and sound. So if you're one of the volunteers who's decided to help make that bubble, then when other people get crazy, you're not like, oh, how dare you? You're like, here, let me get that for you. And I mean, obviously there's some attitude for it, right? You know, not everybody is just like, don't worry, everything is fine. Like, you know, people get annoyed, people get pissed, but the overall philosophy is, so when like that, what happened at I.O. was like so trivial in the grand scheme of things. No one went to the hospital. No one got airlifted out. All that happened was your race got held up while people had to put the gate back up. I don't mean to trivialize. If you woke up that morning and you were like, God darn it, I got to wait. I meant to race. The whole thing got delayed. I had to stay late. I couldn't make my heat. Or if you were one of the people struggling in the sun to put it up, I'm not trying to trivialize the work you did. I'm just saying in the grand scheme of things, that was a win. Because we're still talking about it a freaking year later. I saw Instagram posts about, come to I.O., it's so fun. And it was a golf cart with a unicorn on top. That was a win for I.O. And if you don't see that, then you're missing the big picture. Will we ever get audio with the DJI system? Asks Jeffrey Bogman. No, the DJI system doesn't seem like it will be able to. That was a question that I passed that question back to someone at DJI who, I don't think it's like an official answer, but I think it's no. Audio is not going to get to the goggles. Flacky wants to know if there's a difference between the Micro Eagle and the big one. Flacky, there is no difference. It's just the size of the case. It's identical in every other way. Lancer, I already plugged the stack exchange earlier, so I'm not going to plug that again. Enoch FPV, UFDA's meme war is amazing. Their memes are fantastic. At the same time, I'm skeptical that the meme war is going to win, but it's probably not hurting, so keep it up. I'm so entertained. Ryan Judd, the DJI signal can only be picked up by other DJI goggles. You can watch as an audience member, but only if you have DJI goggles. Sandy UMR, what do you do when you lose your video feed while you're flying? How do you not lose the drone? Sandy U, that is a tough one. If your drone has the ability to do return to home, obviously that's the best, but only if it's safe to do it. When I lose video, honestly, it depends on the situation. If you just flew behind an obstacle and your video goes out and you feel confident you can pitch back and throttle up and climb above the obstacle, sometimes you can get video back. But you have to have the experience and the judgment to know what's safe. And here's the thing. If I'm flying in a park and like right here is our flight area and right over there is the playground, the minute I lose video, I'm disarmed. I'm just dumping it. Right? Some people will put the quad in angle mode and throttle up. Well, that assumes that your accelerometer is calibrated correctly, which it may not be if you only go to angle mode when you lose video. So you just don't know. If it's safe, you can try to fly out of it. The most common thing I do when I lose video is I freeze the sticks and don't move the sticks, and I hope that I'll get an image of the horizon again and be able to fly back. And I try to climb. Usually climbing will fix it. 9:58 p.m., guys. We're coming up on the end of the stream. Aaron Ciotti. Aaron Ciotti has an oh shit switch to get your quad back. That sounds interesting. Is it return to home or is it angle mode? I think it's angle mode, isn't it? If you're going to do an oh shit switch with angle mode, make sure that you test angle mode every flight or periodically, because like you can crash and smack the accelerometer and now your auto level is off, and when you hit that oh shit mode, instead of leveling out and going straight up, your quad will go ah! And the problem is if you never fly angle mode except when you lose video, you could lose it. Okay. Alrighty. Guys, Ciotti is going to start streaming in just 1 minute. He's posting the link, and if you're interested in more live streaming, he is amazing. Ciotti, get your Miata fixed. We got to go do Tail of the Dragon. Drew drove a little bit of Tail of the Dragon while he was up here, and he was like, oh, it's so good. There's places to drive. There's places to fly. Get your Miata fixed, dude. Let's go drive it. You, me, Drew, and Ken Herron. We're going to go do it. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Coming up this week on my channel, it's going to be a very busy week on the channel. Tomorrow's video is the Jumper T16 battery install, CADX Vista, a review of the G-Tech A20 3D printer, and I may shuffle the order of this around depending on what I get done when. But comparison of 48K PWM to see if you can get longer flights from your tiny whoops by flashing to 48K PWM. That's what's coming up this week. So look forward to that. But that's going to do it for now. See how you post that live stream one more time. We're going to get out of here. We're just waiting for that live stream, baby. Ciotti stream for everybody who wants to go over. One more time. There it is. All right, guys. Have a good night, everybody. I will see you next time.